Dear friends, nice to see you again after the practice. And now, time for sharing our own meditative experiences. If you want to share whatever you experienced during the meditation time, whether they are positive or negative, no matter, please do share now.
She actually practiced for some times already. So normally she will practice in everyday life. So with the very clear direction from teacher Upul, she can be in the condition very soon.
Oh, in which condition?
Peaceful and feel a little bit happy.
And what's your present condition? You expect that with these teachings you will be able to go to that condition soon. So that means your present condition is a bit different than what you want to be. So what's your present condition?
She thinks that she may mix up these two things. Maybe it's her expectation, or maybe it's her present feelings. But she feels that it's more or less anyway. That's when there's peaceful. That's okay.
Oh, good. And if there is no peace, if you are not experiencing any peace, then
she can reflect on this no peaceful condition, or maybe it should be okay, and or maybe just go away for a while and then come back.
Yeah, that's the wisdom what we have to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Our experiences can be varied. Sometimes we can experience nice things, comfortable things, and peaceful things. And sometimes our experiences could be opposite. Sometimes our experiences could be very positive, very comfortable, very nice, joyful, and colorful. And our experiences also could be external experiences. That means whatever we experience with external circumstances, and physical experiences or psychological experiences. And usually we are depending on whatever we experience. Usually how we are, it's completely depending on what we are experiencing. Therefore, normally our experiences are making us or creating us. Therefore, we are always looking for good experiences, nice experiences, peaceful and joyful experiences, to be a good person, to be a happier one. Well, sometimes it's possible, but for most of the times it's not so possible, because we are unable to experience whatever we want to be. Experiences are not coming from us. There are so many other factors and conditions behind whatever we experience. That's why we have to meditate. So by meditating, what we are actually cultivating is our skills and our qualities. How to be equal to whatever we experience. To be equal means not grasping whatever we experience and not ignoring and not rejecting. Usually these are three main reactions or responses towards whatever we experience. Either we hold our experiences or we reject them or simply we ignore them. And these three responses or reactions happen unconsciously, means mechanically and habitually. No way to be equal to whatever we experience mechanically or habitually. And also with the meditation, we can cultivate this ability to accept whatever we experience. Fully accept. Fully acceptance means without thinking in these two ways. What should happen and what should not happen. And that whatever we experience is passing away, now or later. So with this insight, we can accept therefore whatever we experience because we know they are passing away, now or later. So feel free to share. So any more sharings?
Yes, can I share a bad experience for me? Maybe I can speak in English first and then I speak in Cantonese. This bad experience happened a few days ago. Someone stole my money from my bed. Yeah, when I discovered that, I feel very angry and I call the police and then do the things and to give him the information, etc. But I know that it is not easy to get the thief because the evidence is weak. So of course I'm very I'm very unhappy, and I try not to drill into this issue. But the memory and the story or the evidence appear in my mind by itself, even though I don't think it actively. So I try to comfort myself by looking things are equal, just like teacher just mentioned, to accept things to be equal to whatever we experience. So I think I'm quite happy for this few months or these days because I feel relaxed and I'm self-contained. But then I experienced this bad issue. Maybe life is like this, ups and downs, good and bad. So this is normal. So I need to look things equally by I sometimes will be happy and good things will happen to me, but sometimes bad things will happen to me. And now I pass the issue to the police, see how they can work. Hopefully they can do it in their full effort, because it is a relatively small evidence. Small issue for them. I know that. Yeah.
For you,
for me, it's very bad luck. Human beings are too greedy, I think. Yeah. But I think work it well, and because I just think maybe my unhappy is come from I lost something that I think is belong to me. The money is my money, right? Mm-hmm. But I try to think I didn't lose anything, and he, the thief, didn't get anything. Because in some sense, the money is like liquid in this world. Mm-hmm. But of course, I really want him to be caught by the police because he was doing a very bad thing. Yes, this is my experience, and what I want to share.
Thank you for sharing this valuable experience with all of us. Valuable experience on losing some valuables. And I'm really impressed about you, how you made effort in maintaining your equanimity while you were facing to that difficult situation.
I'm quite eager to maintain my mood in a peaceful level, because if I cannot do it well, it will affect me physically and mentally. So when I encounter unhappy issue in my life, I will shift my views in a higher level, like in the universe. If my view is from universe, all of us, each of us are just a tiny dust. And if I use this angle, the things will get very, very small. For this thing, I am a little dust and he is a little dust because I'm angry on him, okay? That means this little dust has something to this little dust. This is, there is no any influence for this universe. It's just a very, very minor thing. I will use this view to soften my emotion. How to maintain the tranquility? Is it what? Can I answer your question, teacher? Is it what you want to know?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Yeah. I finished my my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, money is useful and important for especially lay people, means not monks and not nuns who are living in the society and buying, who has to buy everything from the market. Then of course they need money, and therefore using money is something like losing many things in our life. But it doesn't mean that we have to lose our happiness, or we have to lose our mindfulness. We may lost things because of our unmindfulness. And even after that, if we can be mindful, then we can keep our mental tranquility and calmness within us. But if you are not mindful, then we think that we had to suffer, we had to cry, and we had to be emotional when we lose things. And it happens automatically, like there is some universal laws that if you lose something, then you have to suffer. There is no such a universal law. Everything is up to us. And do you think that you could be able to maintain your peaceful consciousness because of the meditation?
Absolutely, because of practicing meditation and study Buddhism.
Thanks for this beautiful sharing and teaching. Therefore, we better to practice meditation and learn Buddhism before we lose things.
Thank you. But I totally agree that it is because of unmindful. The issue happened because of my unmindful. So I'll practice it more. Yeah. It's not enough now. Thank you.
Yeah. That's a very good point. That thieves are very mindful, and yes, they are very mindful, and they are mindfully watching us, and they are mindfully waiting us to know when we are become unmindful. In a way, therefore, they are like our mindful teachers, like Zen teachers. Yeah, some lessons are very expensive. So you can be happy about the fee of teachings, the fee, what you have paid.
But the lesson is very short. Okay, it's expensive, but very short, just a few minutes.
That's why I said it's the Zen teaching, short. And I think you will never forget about this teaching in your whole life.
Sure. Yeah, I will not forget. But I'll try not to dwell on it. But it will be a good experience. That is a good experience. Can I say so? I don't want it to happen again, but.
And AB has some more share. She remarked that even though we have fully mindfulness, we have a sharp mindfulness, but still it's not easy to really forbid this stolen things. We can still lose physical things like a credit card get unauthorized use, and she has the experience that her card is stolen by somebody and used for a while. And then I think she lose a significant amount, so she feel very angry at that time. But as a teacher teaches, things are going to change, and gradually she feel she can accept that thing and not angry anymore now for a long time, of course. So after that was it. Yeah.
Accept the fact that there are many so-called bad people in the world and bad things in the world, and we cannot escape by any means or by meditation.
Okay. So physically we can't escape for this actual thing happen, but we can still have a karma.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Amy, for this beautiful, insightful sharing. Of course, there is no way to escape anything 100% in this world. That's very true. Nothing is 100% because most of things are out of our control. And we cannot be mindful on everything at once. This popular multitasking concept is not going with the mindfulness. We can only pay our attention on one or two or maximum three things at once, not for many things. Therefore, if you are doing many things at once, then of course we cannot be mindful fully on everything, whatever we are doing. Therefore, still there is a high chance to lose things and have some harmful incidents. That's why the meditation is asking us to do one thing at once. Only then we can be 100% mindful on what whatever we are doing. But this is not very practical in our everyday life. Therefore, there is a chance to lose things. With this conclusion, I think now time for meditation. So let us practice meditation for half an hour. Once again, please make your sitting posture comfortable. And if possible, please make your back straight. In our previous sitting meditation, we were trying to meditate on our mental movements. And in that meditation, we have seen how the mind creates the past and the future. Let us refine our mindfulness to become aware and conscious on what our mind is doing from moment to moment now. Let's see how far and how long can we stay in the present. Being in the present means we know what is happening now. Can we discover this, that how the present becomes past or the future? How it happens? See the difference between when we are in the present and when we are not in the present. Visualize, just know what you experience with your eyes now. Sleepiness or the awakeness. With this awareness, now please open your eyes slowly. Thanks, dear friends, for your beautiful effort in the practice. We are doing many things with our body, so-called physical activities. And as we know this, that all those physical activities are happening habitually. Habitually means we have to do something for good enough times to make a habit. One time is not enough, and maybe 2 or 3 times are not enough. If we do something in the same way again and again and again for few times or couple of times, then it becomes a habit. That means the brain or the mind or our nervous system or whatever knows how to do it. So our inner system is keeping a record or report or making a program on that action. For example, brushing our teeth. So we have to take the toothbrush and open the toothpaste tube and put some toothpaste on the toothbrush. So there are few activities. Then we have to close the toothpaste tube and keep it the right place, and then brush. And after that, we have to wash the brush and wash the mouth. And if we do this in the same way without changing the rhythm and the style for a few times, then the inner system, maybe the mind or whatever, is making a program on that activity. Or simply we say we know how to brush our teeth. That means whenever we say we know how to do it, that means we do not have to be aware on it. That means we can do it habitually. And what happens is that habit says whenever the right time comes or whenever we decide to brush our teeth, then that habit says, I will do it for you. Don't worry. I am doing it behalf of you. I know better than you. Therefore, please hand over it to me. And so we hand over all these things to our habits to do behalf of us. And so we don't have to think, we don't have to make decisions, we don't have to be attentiveness, no need. That means we are free. And the habit says, I am brushing your teeth, therefore you are free, you can do whatever you want to do now. And we are happy about it, because now somebody is doing things which we have to do. And we are very happy to hand over these responsibilities on somebody else's shoulders. And now we are free. And unfortunately, we do not know how to enjoy this freedom or how to use this freedom in a meaningful way. Therefore, the habit is, while the habit is brushing our teeth, we are thinking about the past and about the future. And this activity is happening in the present. The brushing the teeth is happening right now, but we don't have to worry about it. And after that, we start another thing, maybe go to somewhere, and again we have to say, I want to go there. And then another habit says, oh, I know how to go there, I will bring you there, don't worry, don't think about it, you can do something else while I am bringing you there. And again we are happy, we hand over this responsibility onto another habit, and while the body is walking, while the habit is bringing us wherever we want, we again we wander in the past and in the future. In this way, dear friends, we don't need the mindfulness. We need only habits. And so this is the way how we live, and this is the way how we sleep, and this is the way how we wake up. We just say to the inner system that we want to sleep. And we hand over that responsibility to the inner system, and we are thinking about this and that, what we have done today and what we are going to do tomorrow. And then that habit is putting us asleep while we are wandering in the past and in the future. So sleeping is also a habitual activity. And how we get up, how we wake up, it is also happening habitually. I think usually we don't think this, that I have to wake up now. So we wake up habitually, we sleep habitually, and in between that we do so many things habitually. Sometimes I try to do this mathematical exercise for myself, and I couldn't do it. And I ask others to try to do it. That's the way. That's my way. If I can't do something, then I ask others to do. I was trying to count how many habits are there, how many things that I am doing habitually in one single day. And it's impossible. And it makes me surprised. It's a surprise for me because everything happens habitually. Not only physical activities and not only verbal activities. When we meet somebody, we say, good morning, how are you? And we are fine, thank you. And not only that, even when we are arguing, it happens habitually. And so we, physical habits, verbal habits, and then psychological habits, so-called thinking patterns, and emotional habits. Actually, emotions are coming or occurring in our mind habitually. So there are 4 types of habits: physical, mental, verbal, and emotional. And if we can make categories, or if we can make groups, this is my physical habits, this is my verbal habits, they are my psychological habits, and this is my emotional habit. If we can make 4 groups, then an important question would arise. Then where is Upul? Where is we? Or where are we? Actually, we mean a collection of habits. It's just a name. I or we or Upul is just a name, just a sound for a collection of habits, a bundle of habits. And that's why we are different from each other. The interesting thing is, actually not interesting, but we create habits. We are the creator of all the habits, whatever we are having right now. You cannot create any habit in me, and I cannot create any habit in you. So therefore, I am my own creator of whatever habit is here. So I mean a collection of habits. Therefore, I create myself. Therefore, I have to take full responsibility of myself. This is one thing. The first thing is we are the creators of all the habits. And after creating a habit, then what happens to the creator? Then creations become powerful, more powerful than the creator. Maybe logically and theoretically, it should happen in that way. The creator should be more powerful than the creations. But what happens, or what is happening, or what happened practically is creations become more powerful than the creators. And then, therefore, habit says this, I don't need you. My dear friends, we can laugh actually, but it's not something funny. It's a very sad and unfortunate thing. Our own life says this, that I do not need you anymore. I can sleep, I can wake up, I can make my cup of tea, and I can do everything without you. We became, or we become, or we are becoming an useless device in our own life. The life can make decisions habitually, and the life can act according to own decisions, and life can revise own decisions habitually. And my dear friends, we better to ask this question deeply, that what is our place in our own life? Is there any place for ourselves in our own life? But somehow we do not ask this question. But we suffer a lot whenever we realize that there is no place for ourselves in somebody else's life. And you know how painful it is that whenever you realize that that you don't have any place in beloved friends or beloved one's life for you. And my dear friends, this is more painful than that we do not have any place in our life. This is more painful. The real pain comes from this than anything else, from anywhere else. The mindfulness or the meditation, only the meditation or the mindfulness raised this question deeply. May I know what's your place in your life, in your own life? So we answer to this question habitually. Oh, it's my life. I am the owner. I am the creator. I am the boss. Do not ask stupid questions. But the meditation or the mindfulness is challenging to this answer. No one can challenge to this answer except the mindfulness. Are you sure? Yeah, then the mindfulness says, let's see. And whenever we try to be mindful, only then we realize this, that there is no place for ourselves in our own life. All the habits are leading us. Habits are taking over us. So only with help of the mindfulness, we can realize this. This is the first realization in our with the meditation, what we can get. You think you are Upul, but Upul means a bundle of habits, 1,000 of habits. There is no Upul. And actually this realization makes us shocked. And and also with help of the mindfulness, we can realize this too, that we are suffering habitually. My dear friends, it's totally all right, perfectly all right if we do everything habitually without suffering. But after doing things habitually, habits create suffering, and no habit is suffering. We are suffering. So no habit says that it can suffer behalf of us. And this is the way how we make karma. Kamma or karma is another word for actions of habitual things or habitual actions. We cannot say that it happens habitually. Therefore, don't punish us. So more punishments come if we do something habitually. Therefore, dear friends, with the help of mindfulness, we can slowly, gradually take back the life onto our hands once again. So this is actually one of the greatest benefits of practicing mindfulness. We take back our own life onto our hands, onto our shoulders. And there is a popular concept of letting go, let go of. And some of people or some of meditators interpret it wrongly. It doesn't mean that we have to let go of the life. The mindfulness never asks us to let go of the life. The mindfulness is helping and supporting and guiding and leading us to live, not to let go of the life. Only with help of the mindfulness we can live. We can be alive. Therefore, nothing to do with let go of the life. So then what do we have to let go? Not the life. Yes. We have to let go of living habitually. Only then we can see what life is really or what living is really. Therefore, my dear friends, the usual mindfulness is not enough to do this. The usual mindfulness is good enough to maintain or to do our daily activities systematically, to improve our everyday life and to improve our daily activities, to improve our samsaric journey, but not to stop it. That's why we had to refine our mindfulness. So it is called right mindfulness. So it doesn't mean that mindfulness can be wrong. Yeah, but one can use mindfulness for worldly life or to continue the samsaric journey. Then from the Buddha's point of view, it's wrong mindfulness. First, we had to know what is the mindfulness or what the mindfulness is. And then we had to use to be mindful. And then we had to know how to use the mindfulness correctly and wisely. Not for cycling around the same center or again and again and again. Once a couple of foreigners, a group of foreigners came to Nilambe to meditate. So I taught them about meditation, how to meditate, and then we did a couple of meditation sessions together. And during the Q&A session, they said they also they were meditating while they are working. And I asked, what's your job? And they said they are soldiers. And actually they came from war zone. And I asked how meditation helps you to do your job. And they said, honestly, they said that because of the mindfulness, they can reduce mistakes. Therefore, they cannot minimize wasting bullets. And also they said that before mindfulness, they have a lot of guilty conflict. They had a lot of guilty conflict and regression feelings. But now with the mindfulness, no regression, no guilty conflict. Because their mindful teacher taught them that guilty conflict and regression, feeling of regression, come from the past. So they are living in the past, that's why they feel guilty. But now they are in the present, therefore no guilt. My dear friends, maybe there can be benefits of mindfulness, but from this point of view, we cannot say this is a right way to use the mindfulness. So if this goes like this, then in the Third World War happens between mindfulness soldiers, not with missiles or bombs. Who are more mindful, they can win. Therefore, my dear friends, we can play with the mindfulness, of course. With the mindfulness, we can play with everything. And after that, we can realize that this is a dangerous game. And finally, we become victims of our own games. Therefore, we had to refine our mindfulness to live consciously with full awareness. We had to take the responsibility, and we had to face to consequence of whatever comes out of our actions. And that's why the Buddha said, establishing mindfulness is the direct way to make a full stop for this endless suffering. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear. So any sharing or any contribution or any clarification?
After you know that they are learning mindfulness for killing, how do you respond? Would you still teach them?
Well, actually, it is something like we are abusing. They are abusing these concepts, mindfulness or awareness or whatever, misusing and abusing. They are not really using it. So what I have said is, actually there is no difference in between. If somebody says, I am killing somebody mindfully, or I am doing the war mindfully, or I am killing somebody because of the God's will. Because those soldiers who came to Nilambe, actually they were fighting against in some other in the country where those so-called terrorists are doing some civil war. With this idea, God's will. They have this God's will or God's command or God's desire, they are fulfilling that God's will by killing others. So one party or one group of soldiers are killing others because of fulfilling, or they want to fulfill their God's will, and other soldiers are killing these soldiers because of mindfulness. So I said, no difference. Both of you are doing same thing. We can use mindfulness to stop violence, not to make more violence, to stop violence. And I asked, they said that with the mindfulness, no regression, no guilty feeling. Whenever those memories come, they could control with the mindfulness. So they said no effect. They are not affected by their past actions. And I said that's not true. It's you are cheating yourself. You are deceiving your own self. That can't be right. I asked about their sleep and their dreams, and they all are using sleeping pills to sleep, and they all are having nightmares and bad dreams. So I explained them that the mindfulness is one of the best solution to have a good sleep and to overcome unpleasant dreams and nightmares. And now, because of your mindfulness actions, you have more nightmares and more unpleasant dreams. Anyhow, that the first and last group, because their commander thought they cannot do the war with Nilambe mindfulness.
Yeah, regret that Nilambe's mindfulness is not for war.
Thank you, teacher. You are recalling their conscience. Thank you.
Teacher, is it possible for us to use our habit mindfully? So we still use our habitually action, right? We brush our teeth habitually. But we know that we use it. We are not controlled by them. So the habit is still there, but we try to gain back our control. Is it possible or not?
Well, it is possible. Actually, this is the ultimate result of cultivating mindfulness or refining the mindfulness. Only with mindfulness, we can be aware on our intentions before we make any actions. That means if whatever is going to happen habitually, then we know something is going to happen now. And and we can reflect on that intention. And if that intention is good, then we can give our okay to that intention. And we can watch how it happens habitually. Now that is one of the very important practices of mindfulness. For example, in our walking meditation, how we start our walking meditation. So we think I am walking, I am lifting up my feet, I am placing down my feet. So this is the way how we train ourselves to do walking meditation. But it doesn't mean that we have to walk in this way in our whole life. This is only for establishing our mindfulness. And after that, we we are watching how we are walking or how the body is walking. And you may know that in that teachings of that discourse, the great discourse of establishing of mindfulness, in the discourse the Buddha said one can practice mindfulness within and with others, also with oneself and with others, internally and externally. So we can sit and watch how others are walking. That is also a way to practice meditation. When we are walking, we can be aware, and when others are walking, we can also be aware on how they are walking. And finally, we come to this point that we just observe, no different in who is walking, we or others, no different. We just observe how we are walking, how they are walking. So we hand over all of our responsibilities onto habits unconsciously, without knowing who are them, without doing proper investigation on them. Can they take these responsibilities or not? And that's why we are suffering. And that's why we are having a lot of difficulties. We hand over all these responsibilities onto disqualified people, untrained and unskillful people. And with the practice of mindfulness, what we are doing is we train them properly, skillfully. After they become qualified and trained and skillful, then we can again hand over those responsibilities onto them. So there is a transit period. That's the most important period of the practice, of the journey. And after that, everything becomes again smooth.
So I began to think of that. There's a poem about this in Chinese. I think maybe explaining like this. Do you like the poem?
Yes, please.
Let's try to translate. I use Cantonese first and then translate to you later. There's a quite famous poem about the practice in Chinese. They said that before practice, you see mountain is mountain and water is water, or river is river, something like that. And then while practicing, you will see no mountain. Mountain is not mountain, and river is not river. And after that, when you finish your practice, you see mountain still mountain, river still river. So, so I heard about your explanation, and I think something like that. So we can still use our habitually skill. So we still use the habit, but this time I am the boss. They are serving us, not they are the boss overing us.
Yeah, exactly. What happens is right now, they are masters. Our habits are masters, and we are slaves. But originally, we made them. We made all the habits. We are the creators of all the habits. But after that, they became masters, and the creator became a slave. And this happens because of our unmindfulness, not because of anything else. And we can correct this situation with the mindfulness. And then we can select habits, which habit is useful for this job. So it's up to us. Speaking, using a language It's a habit, otherwise we cannot speak.
Mr. Upul, Catherine again. I want to say thank you so much for the teaching today. It resonated a lot with me, and I think that the thoughts and especially the emotional habits are really, really sticky. And I understand, I can see them because of mindfulness, that I can see them. But that I know that you have said that it's not a good idea to say that they are strong, because as if you are giving them power. Right now, it feels like to me that even though that I can see this is the habitual way that my emotions is very, or the mind is very clinging onto that, wanting to cling to that, this attachment, and then, and because of that there was so much suffering. So because of mindfulness, I can see it, but I have not been able to take control yet, I would say. Perhaps it is because of what you mentioned, the mindfulness is not refined enough yet. I often feel like that I am walking one step forward and two steps back. It's even though, so it's in a way that I see it, but I still couldn't take control yet. So sometimes I wonder if that I would just have to be patient and just continue with the practice and wait for the time to go. So an example about that clinging with that attachment is handling separation from another human being, or separation from a cat, separation because of death, or separation because of other reason. So I can see that habitually I cling on to that, and so that's why I suffer so much, and then cried a lot and things like that. And even though the crying is mindfully crying, but it, still that I'm not in control. I'm not in control yet. So I just want to share that, and also wonder if that I just have to give myself time and just be consistent in my practice of mindfulness. That's the way to continue.
Oh, thank you. It looks like that you are also answering to your question. Well, we can be mindful on our habitual patterns and habitual behaviors. That of course, yes, we must be mindful on, especially our emotional behaviors and emotional patterns. But the mindfulness is not doing two things. We have to be aware of that. The right mindfulness is not judging whatever is happening. This is the first thing. That means the mindfulness doesn't say, you are crying, you are still weak, are you behaving childish way. No, the mindfulness is not judging at all. Usually we think that's all. The mindfulness is not judging. Therefore we say non-judgmental mindfulness. The right mindfulness is neither judging nor justifying. Not to say whatever you are doing right or wrong. So it doesn't say, it's okay, you are crying. If you are crying, it's okay, you can cry as long as you want. The mindfulness doesn't say, okay, let us cry, I am with you, let us cry. So if the mindfulness say like that, then of course we can cry until we die. And then one can say that we die because of mindfulness crying. So we have to refine our mindfulness onto that much sharp level and that much wider level, that neither judging nor justifying. Yeah, we are not crying mindfully. What we can do is we can be aware on crying. And actually we should not pay any attention on crying. As you said, it's a very tricky thing. So it is looking for some kind of attention, at least for self-pity feeling. So the best thing is you better to not to take it seriously. Please do not identify that pattern with yourself.
What pattern?
Whatever pattern, maybe laughing or crying or blaming or whatever pattern, we should not identify with ourselves. I am like this. This is me. This is very important. Otherwise, we make our characteristic qualities. And whenever we behave in a different way, we can be aware also. Now we didn't cry. Today no cry. And always there are gaps in between two incidents. Habitually we take seriously on these happenings, these incidents, not the gaps, because they are tough and they are close. And but those gaps, the empty space is so subtle and so refined. Therefore, the gross mindfulness is unable to witness or unable to watch or unable to experience those empty spaces. So whenever we refine our awareness or mindfulness, only then we can experience those blank spaces, empty spaces. And by being aware and by experiencing those empty gaps in between two habitual patterns, then what happens is the gaps become longer and longer. So therefore, better to bring our awareness or mindfulness or attention from patterns, from so-called so strong patterns to these empty spaces, gaps. And only then we can realize that we are not like that, how we thought. We can create new identification. We can let go of our old identifications. We can say goodbye to our old.
Thank you, Mr. Upul. That's very helpful. And I also understand that to notice, because it's impermanence. Because of impermanence, so they change, they shift. So when it happens, don't give emphasis to them. Just, that key teaching that you were giving this time. What is right mindfulness? Not identifying with it, not giving it emphasis, not justifying it, not blaming it. Just happen, but also notice the gap where it shift and it change. That's very helpful. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hello. Can I say something? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very interested in the gap between habitual actions. What is the nature of this gap, and how can we find it or see it? Would you tell us more?
Yeah, well, as Catherine said, that those patterns are impermanent. They can make temporary actions. They can, whatever action they made, only for short period of time. Therefore, nothing is remaining forever. Even the habit of being unmindfulness. That's the longest habit what we are having. All the other habits are secondary. Even that that the habit of being non-mindfulness is functioning from time to time. And the interesting thing is, all the habits are part of the past, like shadows. And now the life becomes full of shadows. But no shadow can fight with the light. So no shadow can say this, I am here since the beginning of the world, the beginning of the history, for millions of years. Therefore, I have full rights to be here. So I am not allowing any ray of light to enter into this darkness. Whenever a ray of light enters into a dark chamber, then the darkness has to go away. They cannot fight with light, even though they are there for millions of years. With the mindfulness, whenever the mindfulness enters into our consciousness, then it creates those gaps. If no mindfulness, then no gaps. How much we can be mindful, that much we can experience gaps. And how long we can be mindful, that long we can be free from those habitual patterns. That means the previous shadow has gone, a new shadow yet to come. So once you become the light, then it's endless. That's the end of the problems.
I think I understand more, and let me associate that when we are practicing meditation just before, teacher guided us to think about the difference between when we are in present or not in present during our practice. Okay, at that moment, I discovered that when I am in the present, I have less thoughts, and the mind is a rest mind, not so busy. But when I'm not in the present, I have more thoughts comes up, and the mind is busy. And this is the case when I'm practicing meditation, because I can't keep the mind very well. So in this case, is it similar to what teachers just say now? When we are in the present, that means we are more mindful. Then less thoughts will come up. Maybe some thoughts will stay, but not so much new thoughts. And also the mind is more rest. Yeah. Is it similar, or can we relate to different situations?
We make unnecessary physical, verbal, mental and emotional actions because of our unmindfulness. When we are not mindful, when we are not in the present and when we are not aware, then we do something, whether it is important or useful or useless or not important, doesn't matter. We do something physically, mentally, emotionally and verbally. And with the mindfulness, we can see, we can notice, and we can understand what is useful and what is not useful for this moment. And we can let go of unnecessary intentions before make any action. Therefore, with the mindfulness, we can have rest physically, mentally, verbally and emotionally. Maybe same thoughts, same quantity of thoughts come when we are mindful and when we are not mindful. Like same number of sounds we hear when we are mindful and when we are not mindful. Yet the number of sounds are not depending on our mindfulness. So the number of thoughts might be same. But with the mindfulness, because of mindfulness, we know which thought is important to think or to thought, and which thoughts are not important for this moment. And we can let go of those unnecessary thinking, not thoughts, unnecessary thinking. The mind gets stressed not because of thoughts, but because of thinking.
So actually, teacher, maybe less thought when we are unmindful, because your mind is busy in thinking.
Of course.
So one thought coming, a lot of thinking. So other thoughts cannot come in.
So with the mindfulness, you can see the gap in between two thinking, not two thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Upul, I just want to check if I understand what you said correctly. Can I say that is observing without judgment a key way to refine mindfulness, whether we are in sitting meditation or in daily life?
Yes. By observing, we can see subtle things. How much we observe, that much we can see subtle things. Therefore, observation is the key to refine our ability to observe or refine our mindfulness. And also, we have to make an effort to create some distance in between ourselves and what we observe. That's also important. Yeah, with that effort is, of course, we can refine our mindfulness.
What do you mean by create distance? Can you give an example to elaborate? For example, in front of you, very yummy food. Yes, but what do we do by creating distance? How do we create distance?
Well, that example is not the timely example because I am starving now. Anyway, we can be aware on what we have seen or what we are looking at, looking on the table, what we are looking at. We can be aware. So, then maybe noodles are there, noodle soup or whatever is there. And if you are eating, if you are having it, we can be aware on the taste. And also we can be aware on our reactions towards whatever we experience. Only then we can be aware on our habitual patterns. So the habits say, I like this food and I don't like this food. This is the way it should be, or this is not the way it should be. That means we have identified ourselves with certain greediness and aversions. The ordinary mindfulness is only capable to observe what we experience. And once we refine our mindfulness, only then we can be aware on those habitual reactions, our greediness and aversions. And usually we say, I like this food and I don't like those food. That means we identify ourselves with those likes and dislikes. And likes and dislikes are creating greediness and aversion. So now we can observe likes and dislikes without identifying. Not my like, I like, not I don't like. It's a habit, just a habit, without judging and without justifying. So in this way, we create some distance, some gap in between ourselves and greediness or aversion or likes or dislikes or whatever. Otherwise, we are too stuck with likes and dislikes, habitual likes and habitual dislikes. So we can lose the stickness. Is it clear now?
Yes, much more clear. Since we have overrun for
little bit.
15 minutes, Upul, do you want to conclude the session or?
Well, if there are no more questions or no more sharings, then of course we can conclude today's session by now. Yeah, then let us conclude now.
Maybe.
Yes, okay. First of all, okay, thank Upul very much for giving us the session and the teaching.